And we are recording. Sarah, thank you. Who would you like to speak to?
Jenny.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, a little bit off topic. I work for an environmental issue that most people disconnect from, but I think our environmental issue is the reason we're having so much climate change, and nobody wants to know about it. So we have a protest in Berkeley, but around the world on Saturday, called the 5G Global Day of Action. And what is extremely concerning is devastating environmental impacts and devastating health impacts. Yet public officials just seem to disconnect because they're so entranced by economics. And there's this idea even that technology is gonna,
Could you, I think I couldn't take any more.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, I appreciate it.
Okay, so you thought you were going to go a little bit off topic, but there's a particular environmental issue that you're really interested in, but you think affects everything, and you're having a protest, some sort of protest demonstration in Berkeley on Saturday, and it's around 5G. You're very anxious and worried about the health implications and the environmental impact of 5G, and it's like you can't get the officials or the status quo or the powers to be to recognize what you're worried about.
Exactly, and that scares me. It actually frightens me because they're putting them up all next to the schools during a pandemic. And I know for a fact this opens up the blood-brain barrier, replicates viruses more faster, and tanks the immune system. This is the science.
So you are actually very fearful around it. They're putting up towers next to schools, and in a situation where, with the pandemic going on, and you know from the science that being, in touch with this radiation, whatever, electromagnetic, whatever it is, lowers the immune system and causes health problems, which just seems really crazy when there's a pandemic on.
What got to me as I'm taking a class, and I reached out to the person teaching it. I think her focus is just mostly on our Supreme Court justice, and thinking that if we get our new president in, who's the other political party, everything's going to be solved. Everything will not be solved.
So you're taking a class at the moment, and the person who's teaching that class, you were talking to them about it, and they're mostly focused on the new Supreme Justice. I mean, I know Ruth, whoever you've lost in the last, they're focused on her, and also they feel that if with the election you get the other person in, that everything will be solved, and you don't think that that's the case. It's not going to solve everything.
Oh, I know it's not the case, because because of being and working with public officials, I know that literally they know the science, they know the concerns, they've been given it, but they will not move on it unless the public is aware, and the public is not aware. So they're going to wait for it to reach a tipping point in a crisis. And that means more climate change, more fires, more, and honest to God, 2020 has been such a crazy year, and that's dovetailed with complete disconnect from environmental policies and health policies.
Right.
Coincidentally.
just, I kind of lost it a bit with that last lot.
Thank you.
I've lost it completely now.
Mhm.
Sorry, Sarah.
It's okay.
Sarah, do you want to do a short,
You want to do a short
recapitulation?
recap of that last bit that I've
Yeah.
just blanked on?
I'm deeply frustrated. I have deep frustration that the pandemic, and I'm not supposed to even talk about this, that the pandemic was so contagious and people's immune systems were so down that when there was another virus that happened, somehow it just spread so fast. People's immune systems were down. I am so mad. I can't tell you.
Okay.
And we still don't look, we look the other way.
Can you
Okay.
reflect that?
So, I'm not sure whether you're saying that people's immune systems are down or whether people are saying that people's immune systems are down. I wasn't quite clear.
The science shows immune systems are lowered
Okay.
with toxic exposures the way we're doing.
Okay. Okay, so people's immune systems are lowered, and which makes the pandemic more dangerous.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for doing a really great job at a very, thank you. I'm so thankful. You did wonderfully.
I did my best. You feel heard then, pretty much. Okay, great. Okay, Ruth, would you listen to me?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think I'll go a little bit back on topic on why a culture of empathy is important to me. I've been kind of playing with this thing for a couple of months now, and I'm surprised at how deeply it's touched me and stirred me up and triggered me in some ways.
Yeah, so you'd like to go back to the topic that was suggested, and you've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks and surprised by how much it's affected you. Is that right?
I've been practicing it. I've been turning up for things for more than a couple of weeks, but I'm surprised at how deeply it's affected me and triggered me in some ways.
Yes, so yeah, it's been more than a couple of weeks and you've been turning up to stuff, practicing, and surprised by how triggering it can be.
Yeah, but surprised that it's triggered a few things, and it's kind of increased my feeling that this is really good stuff for me. It's really good stuff to be in a situation where people take the time to hear me and reflect to me so that I'm heard. And I'm realizing how, as a kid, it starts when you're a kid, I wasn't heard when I often had ideas that were different from, say, my dad. And I'd come out with these ideas that were different. And those ideas were not heard. I wasn't seen with those ideas. I was seen as troublesome and disagreeable because I had an idea that was different from his.
Okay, if you say any more, I won't. So at the beginning, you said how great it was to feel heard. Oh, there was something in the middle. At the end, I heard you say that when you were young, things started. You weren't heard when you had a difference of opinion with your father. Yeah, by the sounds of it, he had a lot of opinions.
Yeah. Well, I had ideas that were different from his. And it's just struck me that this is probably the case for a lot of people. I can't be the only person that was the case for. And I'm just wondering more and more how that not being heard and that need to be heard with your idea, and when you're not heard, that it kind of hardens into this desire to be right. It's actually a desire to be heard, but it hardens into a desire to be right because you're not heard.
So you said that you can't be the only person that's experienced this. And, this frustration with not feeling heard has hardened into a desire to be right. Yeah, sorry, I missed a bit.
Okay, no, that's pretty much it. That we do have a real need to be heard. And if we're not heard, it hardens off into a desire to be right because we're not heard.
Yeah, so there is a need. You said there's a need to be heard, a real need. And if we don't get that need met, it will harden into a desire to be right.
Yeah. And then I see that all over the world in so many situations. So many problems are caused by people wanting to be right. So it comes back to this whole kind of practice being really valuable.
Yeah, and you remarked that you see this all over the world, people not being heard and then wanting to be right, and how, that just points to how valuable this practice is.
Yeah.
His tinkler's gone off.
Thank you. Thanks, Ruth.
Oh, okay. Right, Victoria, would you listen, please? Thanks. Gosh, that was really interesting what Jenny just said. Making that connection between the, not being heard, and it kind of snowballs into needing to be right. I'll just pause for a minute.
Okay. Yes, you're just going back to what Jenny said about being heard, and that you reflect about this, I would say, importance of being heard, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. It is a fun to be heard. It's a fundamental need, and it just reminded me of conversations I've had with my ex, where I've not felt heard, and I've got like louder and louder and more intense and frustrated, and like my belly's gone really tight, and I've just hammered the point home. And I knew I was doing it, and I was like, why is it so important? Why are we like this when we're talking?
Yes. So you can remember, well, some situations with your ex, right? When you were not being heard, and that you remember how was this constant fighting, right? And then you get louder and louder, and maybe trying to be heard, like that voice inside of you saying, please understand me, please, I want to be heard. But maybe it was not easy, and even you had this feeling in your belly like it's getting tight, something like that, right? And then you didn't know the importance of this kind of practices, right? To be heard. And the fighting wouldn't stop because you just wanted to be heard, but it was not possible. You both maybe didn't know how, right?
Yeah, I think we were both forcing it, and then you know, there was a confrontation. Neither of us was getting heard, and yeah, in other times, I've been quite apathetic, thinking, oh well, I'm not being heard. I'll just let it go. You know, what I have to say maybe isn't that important. And I think there's a bit of a danger there for me as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can listen, Ruth, that you're saying that back in that time, you both didn't know how to do it, right? How to listen to each other. And then you are just saying that there was a point where you thought, maybe I should stop saying these things, right? Maybe you thought, maybe this is not important enough to be heard. So maybe I just be quiet and not to say anything about it because I'm not being heard. I don't know how to do it, and he doesn't know neither. So what to do, right? Like kind of lost in that, saying that maybe it's better to be quiet rather than speak and not being heard, right?
Kind of. Yeah, I was saying that I felt apathy had crept in, and yeah, which is also equally unhelpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
apathy
it was.
versus fighting.
Yeah, so there was a lot of apathy and fighting, right? It was not useful, not helpful for you either.
Yeah. Yeah. So I still experience that sometimes when I'm in a group of a small group and there isn't this kind of structure. There are people who would talk more, and I can find myself getting quite disengaged. Like I get slightly bored because I'm not, you know, there's just so many words, you know, and there's no breaks. Do you know what I mean? I think I spoke about this before in another circle.
Okay, so sometimes they still happen to you, right? When you are in kind of small circles with a lot of people talking, you think that they're just talking and talking, and you don't really feel like involved in that talk, right? And you just feel like the words are going up and there, and there is not really an engagement or pauses maybe to reflect or to talk about what they were saying. They were just words and words. Is it like that?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's my, rather than start a confrontation because I'm actually quite angry, I would kind of numb out and stop. Yeah, just stop listening.
Okay, so I can listen that you prefer
That's okay.
stop
Go ahead.
listening. Yeah, you prefer stop listening rather than maybe get involved into a fight or something because you get angry.
Yeah, thank you. I feel heard. Thanks.
Thank you. So now should I go? Yes?
Yeah, it's your turn to speak and just pick a listener.
Okay, okay. So Maureen, can you hear me?
Yes, please, Victoria.
Okay. Well, this is my first time in this circle. Well, I am part of a circle here in Mexico where I live. I've been doing it for maybe 4 or 5 months as a participant, and I want to enroll soon in a training that is being held here in my city. But going back to the question about why is a culture of empathy important to me, I would say is the most important thing in my life. Why? Because it has changed my life completely, starting with my family. I grew up in a family where we were not heard at all. So as me and my family, principally my mom and me, we started to get involved into these practices. Well, our family roles and everything got better.
Right, okay. So this is your first time in this circle, and but you are part of Empathy Circle back in your own city. And it's very soon you would like to do a training. Why you have got involved is because you grew up in a family where you were not heard. And then you have seen so far how this process in which yourself and your mom got involved has changed your family.
Mhm. Yes, just like that, Maureen. I can totally relate to Jenny when she was saying that she was sharing her experience about, oh, when I was a kid, I was not heard. I had always had different opinions with my father. So I can really relate to that because I think most of us grew up that way. Maybe not with my father, but maybe with teachers, with mom, with brother, with sister. And I think it would have been wonderful if they had been able to listen to us, just to accept us. Maybe it's not valid. Maybe we have a crazy idea. Maybe we have something that is not like able to be, I don't know, to fit in the situation. But the simple fact of being heard, oh, I imagine you would like to do that. Oh, I imagine that you like this, you would like to do the other thing. Just being heard. It doesn't mean that they need to do whatever we say. As she was saying, we want to be right because we are not heard. But maybe that need to be right is just a need to be heard, I think.
Yes, so you can relate to what Jenny said. As a kid, having ideas which were different from her father. In your case, you're not too sure, maybe not your father, but it would have been good if the teachers and mothers and brothers and sisters had been able to hear you. And then again, you're wondering, maybe it is crazy. Or this, maybe it is crazy anyway, to have it so different, I suppose. And makes us feel that we can't fit. We are made to feel that we can't fit. And then, did I get that right? You went on then to the idea of, again, being right. We insist on being right because we haven't been heard.
Mm-hmm. Yes, just like that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's all for today. Thank you, Maureen.
Welcome, Victoria. You feel heard?
Yes, I feel heard.
Okay, I'll talk to Bill then, if I may.
Happily, I'm listening.
Now, yes, I came into the circle, and there's one thing I don't like. I don't like too many people in the circle. I think that the ideal number for the circle is 4. And then there was a time when we were 3, and it went very well too. Yes, I have been part of, I would say, 2 different types of circles. I came in to this system maybe last March with the principles of Extinction Rebellion for Europe and USA, I think. And our conversations were generally at the head level, intellectual and political and social and all of that. But then later on, I have noticed that some of the circles that I've been part of have become a little bit more personal sharing.
Okay, are you ready for me to reflect what you said so far?
Yes, please.
Oh, sure. Okay. So the first thing you talked about was for you, your ideal number in the empathy circle, which is 3 and 4 is okay. A little bit more than that, you feel degrades the experience somewhat. So you like that number. And then next you mentioned that you had started to come into this circle practice through XR in March. And it was very intellectual. People were discussing the principles and things like that, and it was very conceptual. And then in other types of circles, which you kind of contrasted with the more intellectual ones or emotional, which is a personal sharing and is a more emotional circle.
Yes. And I suppose there's room for both. But my experience then of the more personal ones, I think those are more challenging.
Okay, so you said there was room for both, but the personal ones are more challenging.
Yes. And there, sometimes in the circle, there are people in it who are really sharing very deeply personal experiences. And that is a challenge to me and to the circle as a whole. Like how to hold those personal revelations. Stop there.
Sure. So you were reflecting on the challenge, the really emotional challenge to the facilitator and everybody in the circle when somebody reveals something very personal. And, it's a great challenge because there's an emotional aspect that just isn't covered by, cognitive understanding.
But I think that emotional sharing is, it's very therapeutic. And I watched someone just simply put words on an experience the person had, and the words put words on it for the first time. When somebody puts words on a personal experience for the first time in an empathy circle, that's the value of it for them.
So I'm sorry. Okay, so you were talking something, this is very moving to you, that somebody was able to name something, an experience they're having and define it, that they were having internally for the first time in an empathy circle. And that's a tremendous benefit. And you value that a great deal.
Yes, and that's more likely to be taken in by the circle when there are 4 people in it.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that the 4-person circle is optimal for holding that emotional container.
I will finish there for now. Thank you, Bill. I feel heard.
Thanks, Maureen. It's fun. Okay. All right, we're gonna go around. All right, Jenny, you listen to me.
Bill, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. I need it. Okay. So I just really am enjoying this conversation because it's something that I'm sort of dealing with. And trying to pull together what Sarah said and everybody else said, from the macro to the personal. And it's a break to me. I said, okay, what's happening here? And what if we talk about it as a breakdown in communication? And I'll stop there.
Okay. So you're really enjoying this, what we're doing here, this conversation process circle, and all the different things that people are bringing, what Sarah was saying, which is like the what's happening on more on the, you know,
Mhm.
bigger level of
Mhm.
the whole community, right down to the
Mhm.
smaller personal
Mhm.
things, and what you kind of bring it back down to is a breakdown of communication.
Right. And in order to test this concept, I said, you know, like for instance, on a personal level, an autoimmune disease is a breakdown of communication within the body.
Mm.
So I'll stop there for a sec.
Okay, so on a personal level, thinking about disease, autoimmune, your
Yeah,
autoimmune system, when that breaks down, it's like a communication breakdown in the body.
right. And then if you take it to the, if you talk about psychosis and other things like that, it's a breakdown of communication between different psychological parts of oneself. I'll stop there.
So psychosis and psychiatric conditions are actually a breakdown in communication between different parts of ourselves.
Okay, so I just want to say I'm going way above my pay grade there, you know, to do that. But I think that's a useful aspect to look at in psychosis. That's not the whole dimension. Thank you for reflecting that. And I kind of, whoa, watch out, Bill. Now let's take it to the family level as we talked about it, and how the breakdown of communication then, as people said, you know, you harden, you feel right, and so that's a breakdown of communication because you're not really listening to each other, you're trying to win. I'll stop there.
Okay, so first of all, you realize that, you know, what you were talking about, psychosis, you're a bit out of your depth, actually.
Yes.
You know, it's not something you really know about, but it's,
Yes.
you know, it's what you feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were looking at the level of family and how in that situation communication breaks down all the time and turns into this wanting to be right.
And then on societal level, it's then talking about Sarah's, is that the leaders are not communicating or listening to the populace, and then the populace get frustrated and they're not being heard, so they need to win, you know, and so that sets that up.
So on the level of society, it would seem like in the status quo, the people who are supposed to be leading don't listen or hear what the people that they are leading have to say, and it ends up in all sorts of a mess.
Right. And so I'll try to kind of pull this together a bit. So in other words, I find that looking at the concept of a breakdown of communication is a useful concept because it can be applied in all these different situations.
Okay.
And so, okay, I'll stop there.
So looking at the concept of breakdown of communication seems very useful because you can apply it in all these different situations.
Right. And so the beginning of trying to address that issue of a breakdown of communication is what we're doing here, which is if we can replicate, if millions of people can just listen to each other, then we can establish a new baseline, positive experiences about communication rather than power struggles. And then I think that effect can ripple out. I'll stop there and my time's up.
Okay, so it's just looking at, you can see that what we're doing here, just this small steps of people actually listening to each other, if it can be replicated, that it could really make a huge difference.
Thank you, Jenny. I feel fully heard. And thanks for taking that circuitous route with me.
It's good. I enjoyed it. Okay. So I think we're going around sort of fair today. Sarah, would you listen to me?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
I'm gonna have to just land in my body a bit now. I'm not sure what I want to say next. about the breakdown of communication and why that is important, the why. And I always remember one of the first things that Edwin said on one of these calls. It might have even been in his kind of, before we even broken into a circle, but it was about relationship, how this is about relationship. All right, stop. I'll have a pause.
So you're really needing to have this land in your body, and you're just looking at the breakdown of communication, and how Edwin shared it was very contingent on relationship.
Mm-hmm. And I swing here because I see this, what we do here, which is very exciting and a very kind of, but very small steps. We're doing very small steps here, which I love, but I can't help but kind of take it out to this huge macro level of, you know, what life is and what life is and how we relate to all the other life on the planet, and how it is all about relationship. It's not about, you know, separation, it's about relationship. So see, I get quite excited about that. I'll stop.
Okay, so you're actually getting really excited by seeing the connection to all life on this planet and how we're all in relationship.
Yeah, and not just us humans, but how we relate to the air and the water and the trees and the animals and everything. And how us humans, in our kind of our arrogance or our needs to survival, have kind of cut ourselves off from so much of the other life and see ourselves as superior, and that all that other life is just for us to destroy, basically. I'll stop there.
So you're definitely seeing the sanctity of all living beings, and you're really reevaluating humans, not manifest destiny, but this conquest and divide over the natural world.
And each other.
And each other.
And and how it seems that at this point in, you know, our species desperately needs to develop some humility. And this whole thing of just bothering to listen and bothering to reflect back what we hear is quite humbling, and it's also a practice of humility.
So you're really feeling this, the need for the human population to pause and listen to each other in the natural world, and humility is called for.
Yeah. And that this is, you know, this little practice, this wee practice that we're into is actually, it's practicing humility at the same time. Bothering to speak back what we hear.
Being able to reflect back another person's perspective is an act of humility.
And beauty.
And beauty.
So that's what, you know, that's all I've got to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
I don't know how close that was to 5 minutes.
Very close.
Oh, good.
You have a sixth sense.
Did Maureen get to? Went once, correct? So she can go twice.
Mhm.
Is that correct, Maureen?
Oh
Did you-
yeah. Just it's your. I mean, this is kind of like an unwritten rule because it's all different. But generally, in the first round, especially as Maureen said, with larger groups, you want to make sure everybody gets a turn, and then it's nice to mix it up a bit while still sort of retaining. But I don't know what the algorithm for that is, and so you go where you need to go.
I was thinking, Maureen.
Okay, Sarah, I can listen to you.
Thank you. So sorry, I was really I wanted just to hold what Bill shared was really powerful for me. He went to the macro and the personal. I mean, oh God, I took notes, but I'm gonna have to think from my head. I loved what he shared about about the autoimmune system and the breakdown of communication. On the autoimmune system, where the body parts are not talking to each other, and then also on the family level. He spoke about that, the breakdown, and how people don't listen to each other and then feel like they need to win. And then he went to the macro.
All right, Sarah. So what Bill said was very profound for you because he went from the macro and he was on the personal and the macro. And you liked the bit about our immune system, our autoimmune, not talking to each other in parts of it. And then the family level, not talking to each other also. And then, yeah, that's what I heard last.
No, that's great. He also talked about psychosis, the different parts of the breakdown of the different parts of the psyche. I really, and I have to say, my
Hold
family.
on, Sarah. I think Maureen is having a problem or something.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she just says her.
Can't hear you, Maureen.
Can you hear us, Maureen? You're muted now, Maureen.
Uh-oh.
Now you're unmuted. No, now you're muted again. Unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
there we go.
sorry.
Can you hear us?
My-
Can you
my
hear Sarah?
sound.
Okay. All right. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, the family of origin. People in my family, which seemed to set a template for my work in the world, people had blind spots, significant blind spots where they wouldn't see right what was under their noses. And that's what I saw as a child. And I was the one to see everything. And this really has been a template where I've seen that happen in my environmental work, where people are not aware of what's right under their noses and not connecting the dots. And so I definitely believe family level, macro level, personal level.
Yes. Sorry about the interference earlier on there, Sarah. Yeah, what I heard there is your family of origin definitely had blind spots. It's as if they couldn't see what was under their noses. And you were the person seeing it. Now, in your work situation, the same template is playing out. You are the person who sees the issues, but nobody else is seeing it in your environmental work.
A few people are, the scientists are, and so when I reach out, I can see, I can get deeply sad and triggered, and I can definitely see how I'm bursting at the seams. And I have to say this, I must say this, you have to know this. So I work with Sierra Club. I wrote 2 resolutions to oppose 5G. They were both approved by Sierra Club. Entirety of California And then we went to the national club, and the board of directors are not moving on it. So a few people are silencing a whole national movement.
All right. So the scientists are seeing it, and you are deeply saddened by what you're experiencing, and is triggering a lot in you. You went to the Sierra Club with 2 resolutions, which was approved at that level. But when that went up to the national level, the board of directors have vetoed it or not accepted it. So those at the national level are undermining all the work.
I'm going to rephrase that. The entirety of Sierra Club California wanted this. And this was approved by all the council club members in the entirety of the United States. And just a few people at the top just want to keep silent. That's why I'm actually about to implode, just on terms of having a few people at the top silent. And then people are like, well, why didn't we know about this? On the impacts on climate change.
Yes, so you are rephrasing and saying that the entire California Sierra Club accepted it, and all the Sierra Clubs of the United States. But when it goes then to the national level, a few people say no to it, and how they can control is it so much, and you are about to implode. That a few people, they're saying they don't know.
A few people are basically silencing the conversation for the rest of the country, and it feels like the rest of the planet.
So a few people are silencing the conversation for the whole community and even for the whole planet.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this difficult conversation and holding the space. I am thankful.
Thank you too. Thank you. So this time maybe I can speak to Ruth, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can I see now? I suppose I was at the family level, the conflict that exists, that comes up there. Well, that's the difficult level, I suppose. That's a very difficult level as I see it. So, and for myself, I can approach it by knowing myself better. I stop there.
You're saying that at a family level, for you, that's the most difficult level. And the way you're handling it is to work on yourself. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's to get to know oneself. That is, for me, to get to know myself, to get to know what I like and what I don't like. And to know that what I like it because it's good for my guts. And what I don't like it because it's not good for my guts. I'll stop there. It's not nice. Stop there.
Yeah. So getting to know yourself really helps. What you like, what you dislike, and how that affects your guts. What's good for your guts and what isn't.
Mhm. So I like in my house recently with another person, I do not like candles which give out a scent. No, I haven't studied it, but I don't know what's wrong with this smell, right? Is it artificial? I don't know. I just don't like it. So the other person in my community, in my group, my home, likes a candle with a smell, with that scent, I should say, scent. So my way of going about it is to be able to say, my friend, that scent is affecting me. With that scent, I feel I can't breathe.
Mm.
So I have to, whatever, you know. Then the resolution lies with both people. I stop there.
Yeah, so you're thinking of what happened in your community. Someone that lives there burns a scented candle and it really affects you negatively. You don't like it. And so you spoke to them and said that it was affecting you. And you used the word resolution, but I'm not sure what else you said around that. Sorry.
Yeah, I just come back on that. Maybe I don't know what I said, but what I really want to say is this. I have not yet spoken, but this is what I must do. Like
So to resolve it, yeah, you haven't spoken to them yet, but you know that that's what you have to do.
So I feel that is clear. But it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how the other person will respond, react, continue to light candles. I don't know. Stop there.
Yeah. So it's clear that you need to have that conversation, but you've no idea how they'll react, whether they'll just continue to burn those candles. It's a bit of a risk.
It is a risk, yes, yes. But yes, I think I feel that in resolving issues, my understanding is I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I express that.
Right. So yeah, at the bottom of it all, you know what you like and you know what you don't like, and you're able to express that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. And it involves risk. But it's better than sitting with the issue and letting the issue fester and burn in your body and mind and spirit. Stop there.
Yes, it's a bit of a risk, but it's much better than sitting on things and letting them fester and burning in your body, you said.
Thank you, Ruth. I feel heard. I will stop there.
Bill, would you listen, please?
Happily, Ruth.
Gosh, there's so much been brought up. It's really interesting, isn't it? So I think there's one of the themes is to do with power, isn't it? It's like it's empowering when someone is listened to or when we feel heard, you know, and there is that humility. You're given space to talk, and I'll stop there just to let you catch up.
Sure. So you're feeling there's there's a very rich dialogue that's been going on here, a lot of deep, thoughts that activated you. And then also within the context of allowing people to be heard is another aspect that's very important. Did I get all of that?
Yeah, but something missing.
Okay.
What came to me was it seems like a lot of this is about power. Like when we need to be right, we go into power mode, don't we? We try to get one over on somebody else. But when we agree to listen to each other, we're not in power mode. We're being generous, or we're not using power at all. We're kind of something else, something much better.
Okay. So you felt, that you wanted to clarify to me is that when we're in listening mode, we're out of power mode. And that is a different psychodynamic than we usually do. And so, and this is important and significant.
Yeah. And I was thinking about our immune systems, autoimmune disease. It's like sometimes that is when we don't listen to our bodies and we just get stressed, and you have some coffee, you push your body further, and then your adrenals get tired and you're still not listening. Your body's saying, oh, stress, we're not listening, and then it just says, right, okay, I've had enough. Yeah.
Right. So you're talking about the kind of internal dialogue between oneself and one's body. And then when you make a decision to stress it out, the body, it reacts and said, somehow physically gives you the message, hold on here.
And if we don't listen to that, that's when things, like you say, break down of communication, and you might get an autoimmune thing that, where your cells attack your own cells, which is, it's very alarming.
So you were also talking about when this goes on for a while, then there's a miscommunication that can lead to some sort of autoimmune system or some lack of communication in the body.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to switch to what Sarah was saying about 5G. This week I've had kind of a few
Oops. Okay, so it's not me. Ruth is frozen. Okay.
Yeah, Ruth is frozen.
Okay. All right. I'm pausing. Okay. Okay, let me do that. And let me see if I can get to Ruth. You're frozen. All right. Oh, she logged out. She'll be logging back in. Okay. I was busy trying to. Okay. All right. Victoria, would you like to? Why don't you speak as we're waiting, and then we'll get Ruth back into the mix when she returns.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Who
Well,
would you like to speak to?
to you. Okay.
Okay, I'd be happy to listen to you.
Okay. So I would like to mention something at the family level.
Mm-hmm.
That I was thinking about how important and these empathy circles are, because from my point of view, it has saved some of my relationships. Some relationships that I thought they were completely lost. For example, with my dad. In the past, we had really, really tough and difficult situations. And well, thanks to these circles, we were able to have a relationship again, just by being heard. He was able to listen to me, I was able to listen to him, and somehow there was a magic in that I cannot really explain. Somehow I would say that I wouldn't hug my dad, I wouldn't talk to him, I would even hate him. I could even use the word hate him when I was a child. But now I can say that I can hug him, I can say I love you, we can have small talks and be together. So I think that at a family level, if we really think about it, it deeply heals relationships by just being heard by others.
Right. So you wanted to focus on communication on the family level, and that you were talking, and the example you used is your relationship with your father, which was very tough, and you really didn't feel connected to him at all. But through circle, and I think you're talking about the circle practice you do in Mexico City, which is similar, I assume, to this. In other words, but it talks about listening. So your father and you participated in those circles, you started to listen to each other, and that started to heal the relationship.
Yes, yes, it's just like that. And well, changing topic, going back to what you were, I don't know, what a few people from this group were talking about how the immune system, when it breaks down, and it's like breaking the communication within the body. So it is amazing how communication start within us, right? Within our body, and then with our family, and then with a partner, and then with the community, with the society, with the world. So I think it's really important to be connected to ourselves, to be able to be connected to others. As Maureen was saying, like, at first I need to know myself, what I like, what I don't like, and then be able to express it. If I don't know what I like and what I don't like, how can I be heard, right? I need to express it. I don't like this, or I like this. So it's like kind of giving value to what I think, what I feel, what I like. Yeah, I'll stop there.
So you were talking about the dynamic of communication, and then effective communication starts with communicating within yourself and the different parts of yourself, knowing what you like and don't like. So then when you communicate with others, you're clear about that. And then what we call an authentic dialogue takes place.
Yes, just like that. Thank you.
Are you
I
done?
think, yeah, I think we can go back to Rod because
Okay.
he was talking.
Okay. All right. So, so Ruth, can you hear us? You're muted.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, it just went.
No, I know. It happens to me all the time. Don't worry about it. So why don't we just give you 5 minutes, and then you can start. You can talk to anybody you'd like to.
What? So I'm just going to start again, yeah?
If you can. I mean, well, I also want to listen to you. And so what do you feel comfortable with? Just.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, does that muck up the circle? All right. Jenny, would you listen to me, please?
I'd love to listen to you.
Thank you. I like the way you very enthusiastic in your response. Yeah. Actually, I don't really know what I was going to say before I got cut off. It was just some stuff I watched on YouTube that a friend sent. I won't go into detail. Just left me a bit kind of disturbed and sad. Yeah, just disturbed.
So you weren't quite sure what you wanted to talk about, but what's coming up is some stuff that you watched on YouTube. a friend sent to you and you watched it, but it's actually left you kind of disturbed in some
Yes.
way.
Yeah, it's like I mean, it's back to feeling empowered or power. I just don't. Okay, I think I know something, and then don't really know what to do with that. Um, yeah.
So it's going back to sort of, are you empowered or disempowered? And you think you know something, but what do you do with it, even if you do know it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge topic. It's macro and personal as well. Yeah.
It's a huge topic, and it's macro and it's personal.
It just feels like I'm living in a George Orwell novel, and I'm not quite sure how do we, how do I live a free life, or whatever freedom is.
So you feel you're living in a George Orwell novel, and you don't quite know how you can live a free life in this situation, or even what you mean by freedom.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it. I'm thinking, what does freedom actually mean? Yeah.
You're
It's really
thinking,
important.
what does freedom actually mean?
Because I mean, obviously there's freedom in here, and there's the bodily freedom. What goes into my body, I feel quite strongly about. I try and eat organic stuff wherever I can. I mean, I have had vaccinations as a child and as an adult, but I don't think I want any more now. That's enough. Yeah, and now we're being told we need to wear masks in certain places, and that for me takes a lot of getting used to, because it feels like really hot around you. It feels very unnatural to be breathing in your waste air, kind of thing.
So you're personally, you're seeing kind of two sorts of freedom. There's a freedom that comes in your head with what you're thinking and how you deal with things with your thoughts, and then there's bodily freedom. How can your body be free? And with the kind of this situation with the virus, you're not quite sure about vaccinations. You've had vaccinations in the past when you were a kid and even as an adult, but you don't think you want any more. And wearing masks, this kind of takes away certain freedom, because you feel stifled around your face and it's hard to breathe and hot.
Yeah.
It all impinges on your bodily freedom.
Yeah, and I work in a shop 2 days a week, and people come in and we say, "Oh, can you put your mask on, please?" I feel that's impinging on their freedom. For all we know, they might be exempt, and then we're like telling them to sanitize their hands. They might have just done it 5 minutes ago. It's all very. I just don't. I'm not behind it at all. I'm really not convinced. That's the time.
So you're working 2 days in a shop, and you have to do this stuff. Like, people come in, you have to say, put your mask on. You have to say, sanitize your hand, and it all seems a bit crazy, because they could well have sanitized their hands, in the last shop. Why do it again? No, you can't. You'll find it very hard to get behind this whole new reality. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Was that, did I hear time there?
Mm-hmm.
Was it time? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Victoria, would you listen to me?
Of course.
Okay. There's I don't know if anybody's this other thing that's up quite a lot at the moment in my world. I don't know about other people's world. Is this thing about social media? There's this new thing on Netflix which is called The Social Dilemma. I don't know if people have seen it or not. I'll stop there.
Okay, so you've been thinking lately about something on social media on Netflix, something called the dilemma.
Social
The
Dilemma.
social dilemma. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it's been very thought-provoking for me, looking at the way social media grabs so much of our attention.
Okay, so yes, sorry. So you've been reflecting about how is that social media is getting all our attention, right?
Yeah, we're all spending a lot of time with it one way or another. And it was quite upsetting, actually, you know, in the same way that 5G is upsetting, to see how manipulated I am in it. That all the time, these algorithms and the people who are controlling those are going to, they want my attention. They want my attention. They want me to stay with it for the next video and the next post. So they do these things that interest me to keep me there.
So it's been quite obsessing, and how just like 5G, right? How this social media is trying to gain your attention, to keep you there. Oh, to show you things that you're interested in, and to show you the next video, the next one, to see, like, to get you full attention there, right?
Yeah. And you know, and I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for it. I think I've got, you know, I've got quite an addictive personality. So yeah, I'll be there, you know. And do commenting and posting, and then the whole bloody day's gone. And I don't actually want to engage, you know, with my life in that way so much.
Okay.
Of course.
So you're wondering, are you a sucker? Just getting everything right. So you say, like, you have this personality of you might get too involved or obsessed, and of course you're gonna be there, like, yeah, give me more, give me. But then time goes on, days goes on, and then days go on, and then you wonder, is this what I want? Like, my life just spending watching all these interesting things, right?
It's more information. But you've got to do something with it in the end, haven't you?
Yes. So you feel that there's, oh, sorry. Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, so in this particular film, and a person in that film really, he really touched me when he was saying, you know, attention is sacred. You know, what I do with my attention is actually like, it's like love, actually. And you know, am I going to put all my attention on fucking Facebook? Excuse my language. Am I going to put all my attention there when attention is something sacred, and where I put it is important? And bringing that back to this empathy circle here, and the way that what we do when we listen, we are giving that person attention. Pause.
Yeah, so you can see that there's a lot of information, but it seems that it's useless, right? What can you do with all, yeah, good information, come, but what can you do with that information, right? And then it really touched you that one person was saying, and that you were watching, they was saying that attention is sacred, right? So you are like wondering yourself, am I gonna put all my attention in this Facebook or whatever social media I'm in it, right? And then you are like wondering why is all my attention here? And then you go back to the circles and saying, wow, now I'm not putting attention on Facebook or any social media. I'm putting attention to someone else, right? Listening to this
Uh,
someone.
yeah, that's almost what I was saying.
Okay.
There's something I've noticed since I've been doing the circles. Because you practice, you then notice how you what happens in conversations with people. And one of the things that I do when I say something and it's not heard to my satisfaction, I say no. I point the finger and no and start to say it again. But of course, what people get is the no.
Okay.
I make it very difficult for them with my no.
Okay.
Pause.
So you're saying that it was almost what you were trying to say, and that, for example, in the circles, that sometimes you are not really satisfied with what the people reflect you back, right? And you often point your finger saying no, and that you think that this no is not really encouraging, like, oh, no, right?
Yeah. Not in the circles, but it's from doing the circles that I recognize that it's a habit I have when I'm trying to explain myself.
So you can recognize you are doing this now, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't say no to you.
Okay.
At that point, what I wanted to clarify was that this idea that attention is sacred seems and is where there's love there. That's where the love is. When you pay attention, you are expressing love in some way, and that the empathy circle gives an opportunity to practice that. You're paying attention when you listen.
So you are saying here that well, the circles give the opportunity, right? To like you were saying that the attention is sacred. So it's like giving love. So you're giving your attention, and these practices is like giving that attention, that love, right?
Yeah. It's practicing that. Okay.
Mhm.
I think that's probably, I don't know if is it time, Bill?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Victoria.
Oh, you're
Bill,
welcome. Okay, so should I start? No?
Yeah, you pick a person to talk to and go right
Okay,
ahead.
okay. So, Sarah, can you listen to me?
Yes, I can. Be happy to.
Okay. I'm not really sure about what I want to talk, but I think that going back to why is a cultural empathy important to me, well, I already talked about at a family level. And I was also talking about how I was discussing what others were saying about how it is also about the communication within ourselves, even within our body. I'll stop there.
So you're really looking, what are the values of empathy in our society? And you're really landing on, well, the family level is really important. And also how we communicate within our body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like that. And I can relate to what Ruth was saying about how is that sometimes, I don't know if she was saying something like that, but I understood that. She was saying that how sometimes we're not connected with our bodies Like we drink that coffee, just pushing further. Then our adrenals are tired until one time they say, I cannot do this anymore. You know, dude, go by yourself because I cannot keep pushing. So I see the importance of being connected to ourselves and to listen to our body. And if we do that, I think we get into the process to listen to others, because maybe sometimes I cannot even listen to myself. I don't know what's going on with myself. I don't know what's happening. I don't care. I do whatever with my body. I don't listen to it. But maybe when we get in this symphony of, I don't know, of listening to ourselves, maybe we can start giving out something to others. As people say, we cannot give what we don't have, right? So maybe we don't listen to our bodies, to ourselves. So maybe we are not aware of what is like listen to others.
Mm. So step number one, in order to listen to others, we have to listen to our bodies and listen to ourselves.
Yes, just like that, how important it is. And I think that we can take small steps. I mean, I can start in the circle in my community, then I came here, then a person today is also here, a new person, and then this new person thinks about what this person learned here and he can apply it. Maybe one day will say, hey, can you listen to me? I have something to say. And maybe this person one day remember, oh, there's another way to communicate, not just to fight. So I think we're taking like baby steps. One person connects to another person so we can all learn to listen to each other.
Mm. So communication is right now in a process of evolving, which is why each of us are taking baby steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like that. So maybe one day we can get to everyone around the world.
Mm. With the hope of worldwide impact.
Yes, just like that. And I think that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you. So sweet. Do you feel fully heard?
Yes, I
Great.
do. Thank you.
Great. Can I talk to Bill?
Listening.
Oh, I'm really trying to absorb everything everyone said. This has been really valuable to me. I'm a little bit teary-eyed, just because I'm really, what's really landing for me is, yeah, to be able to face the truth in ourselves, our bodies. It's really landing for me about if we aren't heard, we need to be right, and then we shout louder and louder.
So this circle has been very meaningful for you. It's very powerful, and a lot of things coming up. And specifically, you were talking about the dynamics of when other people don't listen to us, we don't feel heard, and then we feel like we need to be right. And there's a shift in orientation there.
Yeah, when there's definitely power struggles. I think I'm seeing it on a society level, of like macro level. Would be basically, if you want to say the example with Breonna Taylor, she wasn't. It was the police came into her house looking for her boyfriend who wasn't even supposedly there, and they shot her. And there was outrage because the police got off, even though they shot an innocent bystander, because the voices of African Americans who've been yelling about this have not been heard over and over and over and over.
So you were talking about the example of Breonna Taylor, where she was completely innocent. She was killed, and this is goes back to a deep-rooted systemic, whether you call it racism or blindness or whatever you want to call it, because African Americans in this country have not been heard for very, very well, for almost forever.
Almost forever, and that's why there are all the protests. because of feeling invisible, unseen, heard, just like going to another group of our society, poor, disenfranchised white people didn't even feel they had a voice, that no one was looking at how deep their poverty was. I mean, we can look at all the people. How painful is it if you are a person who what's so important to your heart is not acknowledged, witnessed, seen, experienced, or heard multiple times?
So you're using examples that also there are disenfranchised white people, and an example I guess might be the people in West Virginia, the people in the Oklahoma Steinbeck, the Jodes, who are not being heard, and how that's so harmful, and how that creates a very hard reaction. It turns from a dialogue into a power struggle.
Definitely turns into a dialogue, and on my family level, there was a power differential, power over dynamic with my brother. I mean, of people trying to manipulate things, you know, and that he was so naive and innocent, he wasn't seeing it, and people around me assumed that I would be too naive and innocent to see that, and it was right in front of me, yet no one else in my family could see it. And I'm tired of being the one to see the truth that everyone else is denying. That's at a family level. That's so painful for me. That's what's landing. It's that I see what everyone else cannot see and is in denial. And that's so painful.
So you were talking, taking this personally about a lack of communication within your family, with your brother, who's naive, and but nevertheless, the family kind of presents kind of a flimsy model, let's say, of what's going on. You can see behind that it's a manipulation and not really addressing the truth of what's going on. And it's very frustrating, because then that empowers, you know, whatever happening with your brother, and then the rest of the family is not seeing what essentially anybody would be seeing, you know, any rational, objective person would be seeing.
And most likely, just to wrap up.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
wrap up. You know, his girlfriend was an immigrant from Eastern Bloc country, and they were desperate for money and very in survival. And the only way they saw to get what they needed was to compete and to have power over. And coming from a place of desperation. So that, I think when people come from hurt, they hurt. And they don't communicate, and they try to keep secrets. So, you know, it's complicated and complex. And and not something easily seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So forgive me in the sense that I think that the depth and the history behind this goes beyond, you know, what's happening right here, right now.
Exactly.
So I'll try to, but essentially, you know, there's a profound sense of you not being heard, because the people around you don't recognize and are unwilling to look at their own manipulations. And that's the real pain. It's not even the actions of your brother who's acting out of desperation. You can understand that, but it's the rest of the people who really don't understand that as well about your brother, and can't put it into some sort of healthy context.
Yes, I applaud the depth of your understanding on multiple levels. I know what you do is not arrived at easily. I just want to recognize the extreme value, Bill, of who you are, what you share, and the knowledge you bring to the table.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. It's really a pleasure, and it just helps me grow. So I really know everything that happens.
Thank you.
All right, I want to acknowledge that it's 11:44. We should be seeing a message from Edwin to pull us back into the room, probably about 5 minutes. So we've got a little, all right, so I'll talk and I'll try to kind of make this short because I got something stuck in my craw. And I'll talk to Ruth if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. I think Maureen wants to say something. Her
Oh, I'm
fingers
sorry,
up.
I didn't see. Go ahead, Maureen.
Yes, before the end, please, I have something to say. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well,
Go
I'll
ahead,
tell you
Bill.
what. Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill,
Then
yeah.
that's all right. Maureen, then I'll pass to you, and then I'll go after you. You know, if that's okay with everybody, it'll kind of go out of thing. But go ahead, Maureen. Why don't you pick somebody to talk to, or you can talk to me.
I'll talk to Ruth. Oh, sorry, I was going to talk to Ruth, actually.
Yeah, talk to Ruth.
Mhm.
Ruth is
Right,
very
Ruth, if you
popular,
don't
much
mind.
more
Come on.
popular than
Hey.
I am. Okay.
Thank you, Ruth. Well, since we heard from you. Yeah, I just wanted to say something about something that Jenny said there earlier on about how much we've cut ourselves off from nature. And I was so surprised today to see on the BBC something.
Oh,
It was a rat which has been trained to detect landmines.
wow.
And I saw the rat functioning in the field, maybe in Angola. I'll stop there.
Yeah, I think we're going to return to the session. You wanted to refer back to what Jenny said about how disconnected we got from nature, and then you were saying that you'd seen a program on the BBC how they trained rats to detect landmines, and you'd seen it in action in Angola.
Thank you. It brings up the word humility. Thank you.
It brings up the word humility for you.
Here in a second.